I think one of the common challenges parents face is this one of those things I should be strict about? Or is this something I should give grace and let it go? And in fact, I think some parents have a problem in the relationship together because one tends to be more strict and the other tends to be more relational. The reality is there are a lot of good ways to raise children. You can raise children in a strict home and they'll learn a lot of good things. Or you can help children and parent children in a very relational home, and kids can learn a lot. How do we know which one to use? The best answer to that question is, what does this child need, not what does the parent prefer? Because we have our tendencies, we have our wishes and our desires with our kids. But many times our child may need something different. I regularly tell parents, it sounds like you're doing a lot of good things in your parenting, but it may be that this child needs some different good things in your work with them. I'm sure that's why, as parents go through some of our programs, they find it beneficial for their relationship together because they're able to get on the same page better than they might have before. You see, both firmness and relationship are important in parenting. And sometimes we emphasize the firmness that says, no, this is what we're going to do. When I call your name, you need to come right away for a little bit. And the reason for that is because sometimes you have a hard time giving up your agenda. Or we might say to a child, I'm going to have you take a break. That means you need to go sit down and take a break and settle down and change your heart. And so sometimes we're firm with children in order to build some character that they need. Other times we're more relational. When a child has some challenge, we say, he's starting to get angry. Instead of being firm, we might say, why don't you come over here and let me give you a hug? Why don't you take some deep breaths? Let's try to settle down. I think we need to have a repertoire of parenting tools, like a toolbox, as it may be, that have both firmness kinds of strategies that we can implement, which are good for building character, and relationship strategies, which are great for opening the child's heart. And we need to know when to use those. But most importantly, we need to know when our current plan isn't working and we need to try something different. It's interesting that Ephesians chapter 4, verse 15 says this: instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body of him who is the head, that is Christ. He's talking about truth in love. And I think it's another way of talking about this idea of firmness versus relationship. Sometimes we're just going to emphasize the truth. No, I'm sorry. You need to get off the computer right away because I've asked you to do that and you have a problem getting off the computer. So for a while, when I say you need to get off, you're going to get off right away. Other times we're going to say, okay, you can have 5 more minutes. It depends what we're working on with the child. Let's take another example. Your child goes to school and forgets his lunch. And you know that's going to create some problems for the child. What do we do? Do you go take the lunch or do you let him suffer the consequences? Well, the answer to that question has to do with what you're working on. Because I think sometimes if a child's irresponsible, then they're going to have to deal with the consequence and deal with that on their own and solve the problem, which can produce some character and may remind them, I need to take my lunch tomorrow. But other times we might be quick to take the lunch to school because we're fostering this sense of relationship, this sense of teamwork in our family. And so we're making that decision based on what we're trying to teach, what's going to help this child. We don't want to deprive the child of lunch, but we know that if they don't have a lunch, they're going to have the problem solved in a different way at school. And maybe the best thing is for that all to work itself out. And we're teaching the child through that experience. Or maybe we're going to go and rescue the child, and that's okay. Some people feel like rescuing a child is a bad thing to do. Sometimes we're emphasizing this sense that we're all working as a team. And sometimes I help you out when you forget something. Sometimes you're going to help me out. It depends what we're working on, but both of those are important. And parents would do well to develop their toolbox more and more so they have a number of firmness strategies and they have a number of relational strategies and they know what to use at any given time. Because sometimes it's the firmness that's going to help a child through their anxiety challenge. It says, no, I'm sorry, we need to go to school even though you don't feel comfortable with this. And other times we're going to be more relational that says, come on, let me give you a hug and let's work through this together. So what we're doing is balancing these two ideas, very important ideas that we bring to parenting. And as we try to bring that balance, we'll have a more wholesome approach in our parenting that won't overemphasize one or the other.